This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, back for a big daily wrestling news update. Raw rating was down last night, 0.56. Friday night is the first time they're actually going to advertise a Rock appearance, that it hasn't been a surprise since, I can't remember if when WWE debuted on Fox, if The Rock was advertised or not. I believe he might have been. And if he had been, that would have been the last time he was advertised. So it'll be interesting to see what ratings difference he makes with it advertised. At the same time, I'm so not into this tag team match. This WrestleMania tag team match that it looks like it's going to happen. Cody and Seth against The Rock and Roman Reigns. It just seems not as interesting after we've heard about The Rock and Roman Reigns for so long now. Collision, by the way, did its best rating in a long time, 0.15 Super Bowl weekend. Rampage did a 0.14. Apparently, Steve Austin commented that he might be interested in facing CM Punk in the future. Dave Meltzer reported that Billy Jack Haynes, he uh, he got married to the mother of former powerlifter and indie wrestler Todd Bearcraft. So Jan Bearcraft was his mother. I guess Todd had known Billy since he was 9 and Billy was 18. I honestly couldn't tell you how long Billy was married to this woman. There was a period of time, if you guys remember a few years ago, where he disappeared off the map for a year or so. And prior to that, he had never talked about being married. And then, in the last several years, he had said he was married to a 15-year-old older lady. He had sent me pictures of her and stuff. He didn't want me talking publicly about how much older she was, but I assume that her health issues would have been there at the time he married her, because I don't think this is his wife of a very long time. And this was his second marriage. Remember, he was married to Jeannie Clark, who married Steve Austin after Billy Jack, and was married to Chris Adams prior to Billy Jack. And in all my conversations with her, she said her marriage with Billy Jack was a thing to keep her in the U.S. They did have sex a few times, but it wasn't like a loving relationship. But he treated her well, apparently. Apparently, E did a story about The Rock and still said that The Rock was going to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which seems to be off the books now. It seems weird that I guess they don't care because of Peacock now if people buy the pay-per-view, but it just seems weird that I remember I'm old, I guess. You knew about the Mega Powers main event long before you were real excited about it, or Hogan versus Warrior, the ultimate challenge, or Hogan versus Slaughter, and was built up, and you weren't getting close to the event with no real matches set. As I said, the tag team match does nothing for me. Rocky Romero, who I'm not that familiar with him, but apparently he's now in the office for CMLL, AEW, and New Japan. And he's also wrestling here and there for all those companies. Apparently, Japanese wrestler Julia, according to Dave Meltzer, has committed verbally to WWE. Sasha Banks will be debuting for AEW in Boston. Apparently, their upcoming Dynamite in Toronto, historically one of the best wrestling cities in the world, and it was the site of their sold-out Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Only has about 3,000 tickets out right now, including comps for Dynamite. Apparently, Will Ospreay will be appearing on the Sting retirement show in Greensboro, according to Dave Meltzer. He could start appearing for them earlier than that, though. Apparently, and these are just a couple notes that came up. I listened to the Wrestling Observer Radio today, but here's a few things I found interesting. WWE stopped doing Super Bowl ads because they didn't have any positive effect on business and they cost a lot. And here's something interesting. I knew the WWE ran the Pontiac Silverdome for house shows a bunch of times after WrestleMania 3, but they did not draw well. You can look them up on the internet, and I always found it interesting about that. But Meltzer was talking today that in 1989, WCW ran the Silverdome with $5 tickets and only drew 900 fans. I would love to, if anyone has pictures of that, send them to greatnorthwrestling@gmail.com. I know that WCW also ran the Sky Dome in Toronto at one point, just after WrestleMania 6, and also had a very poor attendance, but there's no pictures of either of those shows. James, I'd rather see Austin against Hogan too. Uh, I don't know. Punk seems to be very injury prone. ATF Media heard Steve Austin, The Rock, and Cody Rhodes were offered a 3-on-1 match against Ronnie Garvin, but they refused because his hands are made of stone. Well, I know that I don't think any of them actually ever wrestled Ronnie Garvin, which is interesting. I saw Ronnie Garvin wrestle like right up until till he stopped wrestling. Because Jacques Rougeau was using him on the international Lutte Internationale 2000, the International Wrestling 2000 shows that he was running in the late 90s, early 2000s. And they were having good matches. I remember the first time I talked to Jacques about training me for pro wrestling, as he was one of my trainers, also trained in the dungeon at ATF Media. You'll find this interesting as a Roddy Garvin fan. When I got Jacques Rougeau's number, because it was before the days of the internet really getting popular. He didn't have a website for his wrestling school. He had wrestled Ronnie Garvin that night. And I remember their chests were full of chops. One thing I'll say about Jacques is he's not really known for being able to take a lot of punishment. But I remember the days that when he was training us for chops, he literally took every single chop from the. He didn't want us chopping each other without knowing how to. And I still respect him to this day for this. He took the chops from all the kids learning how to chop. And not all, like I was maybe 17, 18 at that time. He must have taken at least 15 from me that day. Um, who was asking about Piper? Terry Taylor. How's Piper doing? It's her 14th birthday today. Piper is 14 years old today. Happy birthday to you, Piper. I love you very much. She's on vacation right now in Chicoutimi, Quebec, Canada. Wallace thinks that The Rock should wrestle against Roman Reigns. John Cena as the rep. I don't think John Cena, because of his shoulder injuries, is going to be involved in WrestleMania this year. Yes, happy birthday to Piper. She's a great dog. She actually saved my life back when I tried to commit suicide last July, and I literally almost lost all the blood from my body. Looking at her eyes and her sadness at me is what motivated me to go for help. I tried to drive to the hospital, but I realized I was going to pass out, so I had to stop my car, go to a random person's house, and knock on the door and beg for them to call an ambulance, and thank God I was saved. I'm doing good. I've had basically that took a lot out of my body. I'm rebuilding my body now. Um, had a great workout today. Yes, happy birthday, Piper. She's a sweetheart. Amazing dog. God bless her. God bless all of you guys. Have a great night.